They got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back, tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone and affection, I summon and dub it. Cause they got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back, tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't.
What it do, fam? What it do, fam? I mean, it's been an exciting time if you're a Washington Commanders fan. The draft process has started. The combine is going down. We got some combine electric performances from guys who are possible targets for the Washington Commanders. But anyway, let me introduce myself. You're listening to the Urban Sports Scene. I am Wole, your host, and it's Commanders Friday. Usually, like it's Commanders Saturday. It's Commanders Saturday. Usually, like Commanders Friday and whatnot, but it's Saturday, so it's Commanders Saturday. Hey, before we bring in our dynamic guest who was down in Indy and now she is back, safely back, and she's one of the best folks in the business. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and other podcast platforms. Just search the Urban Sports Scene. Make sure you subscribe to the Urban Sports Scene YouTube channel as well. If you're in the YouTube chat, we accept super chats. Super chats help us support our show. The super chats will be prioritized. Your super chats will be prioritized over all comments in the chat. Don't forget to tweet us at Urban Sports Scene. Hit us up on IG and TikTok at Urban Sports Scene, and also like our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. You can also join our Urban Sports Scene Facebook group. Just search Urban Sports Scene, sports bloggers, sports podcasters, and sports debates. All right, let's get into our tradition. The pregame. Here's what we have on tap. Tony McGee's Pro Football plus his Commanders reporter, Donna Hopkins, will join me as she is, like I mentioned, now back from Indy, doing a great job reporting some of the Commanders' targets at the NFL Combine. But she's back. She's well rested. So let's not waste any time. What's good, Donna? How are you?
I like that you say I'm well rested. I'm not for sure about that because I went out and rode my bicycle since it was such great weather.
The weather was so nice today, wasn't it, though?
Yeah, I had to get it in because out in Indy, all I did was walk a lot, from one end to the other. But yeah, back and, it was great being out there. Got to chance to see and talk and learn a little bit more of what the Commanders are thinking about in free agency and also the draft.
How first off, since the weather here is now, how was the weather down there in Indy?
Cold. Had to have a coat and a hat. It was a little windy, but for the most part, I was inside, but still having to get to the convention center. But it was cold. It was the weather that was here, a little windy, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't snow like I left.
Yeah, you left them, because we got snow here. You left. It was cold. The weather here was inconsistent. But so I want to tap into what something you said. You got to interview a bunch of potential targets for the Commanders. First of all, I just want to know, like, for you, from throughout the interview process, who impressed you the most out there? That somebody who is viable for the Commanders, not somebody that they're not going to get, but somebody in your mindset that you feel like they have a great opportunity of getting.
It's so funny because Wally, talking to Adam Peters before we got to talk to some of the players, I talked to him one-on-one about Jeremy Love, or the running back situation.
Jeremiah Love.
I talked to him about the running back situation here in Washington, being that Bill is the only one that's signed right now. But then I asked him about Chris Rodriguez. What did he think about Chris Rodriguez? And then, that situation. And he said that you pretty much still can add people to that room. They like Bill. They like what they see in Bill. But you can never have enough running backs. But, I'm not looking at that side of the ball, but you still have to entertain it because this is what he said that really stood out. He said, Love, basically, he's just not a running back. This is a guy that can do everything. Yeah. You can put him and use him in multiple areas. His time in the combines when he ran, he's explosive. He, when you look at his college background, the way he runs the ball, it's something that you have to entertain, being that Adam Peters said this also. He said everything surrounding the commandment, Jayden Daniels is in mind. So that tells you that they've got to put the pieces around him along on the other side of the ball. But he said everything they do is with Jayden Daniels in mind. So I'm not going to say that they may not get him if he ends up in the 7th pick, but that's not where I would be looking. I'm looking at the defensive side, but considering what Washington needs on the offensive side, tight end, because they talked about the tight end position, who's still in house for the Commanders, Bates, nobody has stepped forward basically to say, hey, I'm secure in that tight end room, because I think you need to address that also, getting another running back, because still you have to sign basically Jeremy McNichols back. And then if Chris Rodriguez, and then you have Bill already signed. So I still think, if you're looking at that home run hitter, Love is that guy. Because like I said, he can block, which you don't find that much in a running back. He can catch out the backfield. He has the explosive speed. He just makes you have to wonder how you're going to stop him. Like John Riggins, them, I use them, and some of the other great running backs. You basically know what they're going to do, but you still can't stop them. So again, they have to address that, plus a wide receiver, because Deebo Samuels, Coach Quinn talked about how much they did not really use Deebo the way they wanted to, because they really Deebo Samuels, they really like what he could bring to the table. And I saw an interview where somebody had interviewed Deebo, and he was saying he doesn't know what he's going to do. I don't know how much he's asking for, but he would be a guy that would be great to still be in Washington, because he's already got his feet wet with Jayton to a certain extent. So you haven't even tapped into really what Deebo was going to do for your offense because of the injury. So that's the offensive side, but the defensive side is what I went to Indy to really focus in on, because I think that is the area on defense that has underperformed more so than the offense for some times now. Even in the year that they won the 12 ones, Jayton's first year, they still underachieved on defense. You still didn't see that defense be dominant. So pass rusher is the guy that this Washington Commanders need. Dorrance Armstrong, to me, was a great pickup when they got him, but you still need that pass rusher. And somebody said, oh, man, you can get that in free agency. But this is the year that if you're going to pick a pass rusher, it's in the draft. Yeah. Because when David Bailey and Bain came out at the same time. So when Bain came out, I told someone, I said, man, he looked pretty small. I mean, he wasn't as thick and big and not to say that his speed won't be the thing that gets him around the edge to the quarterback, but his size was a little smaller than I expect. But David Bailey, that's another story. I really got to talk to him and ask him, hey, did you talk to the Commanders? And if what do you see if you have the opportunity to come to Washington? Look, he sounds like he really wants to come to Washington. He had talked to them, and he said, this is how you know that a guy wants to come to Washington. He said, look, I'll play anywhere. I'll play special teams. If they plug me in, anywhere they plug me in on this team, I'll be happy to do that. And I asked him, what is something that when they do the one-on-one interviews with the coaches and the GMs, that he wanted them to know about him. He said that he has, to me, a really upside. A thing that he needs to work on a lot more is run blocking. Yeah, that'll come. But look, I just want you to get to the quarterback. So he had the size more so than Bain did. And not only that, did you see what his 40 time?
That's what I mean. It was crazy. He had a great 4.5.
He ran that more so better than some of your
wide receivers,
running backs, and all of that. The other one is Downs is the other guy. Caleb Downs.
Oh, how was it?
Was on my list also. But beyond all that, the areas to me that Washington has to get better at, being that Bobby, even if he comes back, you still need to address that soon. This may be his last season with Washington if he comes back. Yeah. So you need to address that linebacker. Well, let me tell you, Sonny Skiles.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna ask you. Did you get to talk to? Did you get a chance to talk to him?
I didn't get to talk to him, but I was around. Know, when I talked to other people about him. Mm-hmm. This is a guy that plays. Adam Peters and Coach Quinn talked about versatile players. Mm-hmm. They talked about. Coach Quinn said that where they look at first. It's the line play, because in the trenches is where Washington really has to start at on both sides. Last year they addressed the offensive line and they hit a home run with that one. This year you got to hit a home run on the defensive side of the ball. And Sonny Skiles, if you could get a guy like him, and he will probably be there at number 7.
Yeah, I think he could
Washington picks. Whether you pick David Belly, whether you pick Skiles, you're going to get somebody that can come in here and be an impactful player. But the reason why I say Sonny Skiles may be the guy to get is because that's a really need being that you're going to have some of your linebackers gone. And if this is his last year, you've got to start thinking about, hey, we got to replace that. Even though Kane Madrano is the guy that you picked up last year, he didn't really get to play much to me because where was he going to get on the field at? So the opportunity this year for this guy that can play multiple positions, you can change him around. So if you look at what I asked Adam Peters and Coach Quinn after the last game was, when you look at this Commanders team and when you look at the depth on this team, did you have, and if not, where did you not have it at? Well, they didn't have depth at a lot of positions. On the offensive line, and Tyler B. Oddish, that one blew me away. So now you have to address that. I don't know, a diamond in the rough as far as a guy that had really played well through injuries. Yeah. He was really productive. It wasn't like his position had fallen off.
Agreed.
I don't know why they didn't sign him, because Washington has money. But when you're talking about, hey, where is the need at the most at depth-wise, I think you would basically say, hey, Jordan McGee stepped up last year.
I like Jordan McGee a lot.
When they finally let him play,
he played well.
Because this is a thing that they said also: explosive and speed, and younger.
Yes.
So when you look at this Washington team across the board, they've got to get younger. Yeah. So those are the two. Those are guys that I talked to. I talked to a couple of other linemen, but I don't think Washington is going to get any of those. Yeah. Woods, because I think he's going to more so, Peter Woods, he's going to more so go to Cincinnati, Baltimore, or some team like that. But let me tell you, if Washington could get him and another defensive player, I wouldn't be mad, because I think he could come in immediately and help the interior part of there, because they said that Deron Payne is not on the top of the list. It's Laremy Tunsil in getting him signed. So draft pick wise, when you look at what Washington was talking about, what they need and everything, Sonny Skiles will be the one. And Wally, if you look at his background with his dad and his brothers and whatever,
the football family,
I listened to his mom say, hey, they've been groomed from little boys.
Yeah.
To be prepared for this moment. Yeah. So David Belly may be available. Sonny may be available at that 7 pick. Maybe Love would be available at that pick. But when you look at Washington, you say to yourself, we could use all 3 of those players.
Facts.
Wish we had all picks to get all of them. But if you can only get one at 7, who is that guy of those 3 guys would you be saying, you better get this guy?
I mean, I feel like, Paul says Styles won't be there. I think he will be there, to be honest with you, just because of the body of work. I just feel like he's moving up the draft because of his 40, but he wasn't a top 5 pick prior to that, but now he's into that discussion. You got players, you're going to have the quarterback's going first. You got what Love did today changes the game for real, because now it went from he may not even be available at 7 anymore, because the combine is used to confirm who you are. It's not used to boost you, it's to confirm who you are. Styles is a good player, was a really good player at Ohio State, but he wasn't the best player on their defense. You know what I mean? He wasn't their best player on their defense. So you can't jump it's going to be interesting. He jumps the best players on the defense. Paul mentioned, did you speak to Reese from Ohio State, the linebacker? Do you get or heard any conversations about Reese?
I didn't hear anything about Reese and everything, but the reason why I said that he probably will be available, because a lot of those teams were talking about taking wide receivers.
Exactly, agreed. That's what I'm saying.
So that's the reason Washington sets at 7 pretty nice, because you know, we know who's going to go first, second, but now in the conversation maybe, and it's not a large running back group.
It's only going to be one back in the
it's
top.
Really one solid back that you talk about, and that's Love.
Yeah,
so if you're looking to, and Kansas City is a name that has popped up
for Love,
basically for Love, because they definitely need a running back. So you're talking about if they move up, but then I heard at the combine that some of the things were changing as far as positions of what people needed, and they said that the wide receiver group may end up being in those top picks too. So the scouts may be there for Washington to snag at that position.
Okay, because they're like, because some teams really want wide receivers. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I do want to go back to to me, Sonny Styles definitely helped himself the most. But I do want to tap in back to like you said something about like the running back situation. I do want to chime in about that and Love, Jeremiah Love. Like you're right. When I came into the season, this off season, I was like, they got to get a defensive player. Like mentally, that's how my thought process is. And I'm gonna go back to a defensive player because you did say something about Styles that's also similar to another player that has the same type of pedigree that you're referring to with Styles and his family. But I do think there's sometimes some people are just special. Donna, you're from like that West Virginia area, right? Like there was a tall, lanky wide receiver named, I used to use him all the time, an example, called Randy Moss, right? And back then, the Minnesota Vikings didn't need a Randy Moss. They had Chris Carter and Jake Reed. They didn't need Randy Moss. They had other needs, right? They had other needs. But sometimes when you that special and somebody special just falls in your lap and they're just the best prospect, period, like regardless of like situations and what you think about personality or whatever, they're just the best prospect. And they just happen to fall in your lap. Sometimes you just got to pull the trigger. I know sometimes like you can look at it and say, I need this. I need this more, but you just the best player. Like I don't want next year to say, yeah, this guy helped my team and he was good, but I could have had him. Like, you know what I mean? I could have had him. Like, it's cool. Like this, it's a good need. And he's a solid player. He could be a Pro Bowl player. He can be a Pro Bowl player, which would be happy. But I could have had the best player in the league. Like that's the opportunity to have the best player in the league. Because what he did today, like I was saying this before he ran, I said he's already a top 10 running back. I was saying to folks, if he ran a 4.4, he would be good. That's what I said. I said he ran a 4.4, he would be good. This man ran a 4.3. I'm like, okay, like he made to a point where like he changes the whole draft game. Like I don't even know if he's gonna be available at 7 because I know a lot of fans were talking about him, but I don't know he'll be available at 7. And it's something that what you said that Adam Peters said, which now opens my eyes to say, like, you know, because it's all about Jaden, right? It's all about making life easy for Jaden. And I do think, Bill is a good story, right? But there's something about having another Jaden-like talent in your backfield. Like now you're pairing him with Jaden. He's beside Jaden. You know, Jaden's still a mobile quarterback. Like you still have that. You have that versatility between the two in the backfield is scary. It is super scary to have two home run players together. And like you said, Donna, he can catch the ball out the backfield. He's just not a wide receiver. A running back. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. And you talked about blocking. He can do that. We had a guy that's using in terms of its current state, current enough state. A guy Clinton Portis that this fan base was in love with would be a type of running back who had speed, but would stick you in terms of pass protection. Like that guy would, if Love can do that, he would endear himself to this fan base. Like there is so much to like about him. But yeah, I'm sorry.
Hey, Wally, I've been arguing with somebody about this for the last 3 days because we've been going back and forward about Love, Belly, Scout. We all three of them. We've been arguing. I was like, no, the need is on defense too. But the thing is that when do you ever get a running back of that caliber sitting there, waiting for you. And not only that, think about this. David Blau said this year that they were going to run the ball. Yeah. So he said that when we met the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator, David Blau said that, and even Coach Quinn has basically said this year, this team is going to run the ball. And so if you're going to run the ball, being that you don't have but one running back in the house right now, not saying that they won't sign Chris Rodriguez or Jeremy McNichols back, but still, when you get a diamond in the rough that basically is sitting there for you to snag, it's no wrong thing. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if Washington gets him, but on the other side, it's not a linebacker like Sonny Skiles plays. It's hard to pass him up too. But if you have Jayden in mind and everything basically evolves around what you're going to do in putting pieces in place for him to be successful, you got to have a knockout running back in the backfield along with, because we know that Eckler for the last 2 years got hurt. Even Rodriguez got hurt. Jeremy McNichols, I don't think he was nicked up, and Bill wasn't. But you he was young. Have 3 running backs in the house is not unheard. That's, you almost have to have that many in there because of the injuries and just the way that comes about on the running back. But if you've got a guy like Love in your backfield who can do multiple things, because when I was talking to Adam about him, and when Adam mentioned his name, you could just see that he lit up. Talking about this guy, because he said he could do everything. That's what he told me. And this was kind of like me just talking off to the side with him. And he said he can do everything. He said, make no bones about it. We like Bill and what Bill can do and things that he'll work on to get better. But this is a guy that you can use in various ways of your offense. I mean, because you think about it, if you got to be afraid, it's almost like it's a nightmare for the defense, because when you think about Love, who he reminds you of in pass running backs, and what Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry and
Bijan Robinson,
BJ Robinson, and then up there in Seattle, you know what when you look at those running backs of what they did for their teams, that's what you need in the backfield. Because if you're going to build around Jayden in that running game, and you're going to have him behind the center and whatever, you've got to have an explosive back. Because again, going back to Love, if you look at him in college and the explosive runs and the speed where nobody's going to catch him, and the blocking, because you think about it, that tight end position that you're not secure with yet, you need that running back that can do multiple things. And then it's not like you're teaching him to catch out the backfield. He's already really good at doing that. So again, the Commanders, if those players that I mentioned is on the board at number 7, they're going to have to say, where do we need this guy to be the most impactful for to see our team moving forward? You can't go wrong either way, but it is basically an edge to offense. And at first I thought, oh man, the defense is what you have to really address.
I mean, I'm with you. That's how I was put down. I was like, you Donna.
But when I think about the offense, meaning that you got to look at the tight end position that you really have to address, because I can't think of the guy's name. He hasn't stepped forward in his.
Of course, Ben Sinnott.
Ben Sinnott, I was trying to think. Ben, look, I didn't even have him in my thought pattern.
I know.
Ben Sinnott in the last couple of years has not stepped forward, and Adam Peters had said that this is the year that Ben has to really step forward. But you're not going to put your ducats there to say, oh, I'm sure that he's going to do it, because he had opportunity to do it. So the tight end, so when I look at the whole scope of Washington's team, it's holes everywhere on offense. If you don't get a Deebo Samuels back, then now you got to look at, okay, who we going to bring in here wide receiver wise to go with Terry. And then you got Jayden Lane where they drafted him last year. And then you got Luke McCaffrey coming off that. they're not your number 2 guy. I mean, those are guys that you can plug in after that. And they're still, Jayden Lane still has to make that step forward in his second year. But you need a sure money guy to come in here that's going to be a Deebo Samuel. I'm hoping that, with the money that Washington has to spend, that they're able to bring Deebo back. And also, but the number one thing is you have to sign Laramie Tunsil back. And Adam Peters said, lesson learned from Terry, that we got to get this done. Even though he's under contract for another year, you still don't want that dragging on like Terry did, which disrupted this team, from training camp on into the season. So it's the draft is interesting because it's hit or miss sometimes, because you can have, Walla, you well know, you can be projected to be number 1, and I don't think Love is that guy, but I'm just saying that it's hit or miss. So you really have to be savvy in free agency, and I thought Washington last year really did a good job with free agency.
Yeah, they did some good moves in the offseason. Paul said, asked the question, would you all move up to get him? Nah, because they don't got enough draft capital to kind of take that chance. They got to keep their draft pick. So to me, to Donna's point, and I totally agree with you, Donna. I mean, I love Love. I mean, not to be funny, but I do. I think he's the best. I honestly think he's the best player in this draft, to be honest with you. But I will say that I wouldn't move up to get him, only because you need your draft capital and you can't keep trading your draft capital away. They need this. They're paying for it now this season. In this draft, they're paying heavily for it, because you think about Philadelphia. The reason why they're able to get so many draft picks and so many good players is because they did not give all their draft picks away. Washington is in bad shape when it comes to picking in the draft because they don't have that many. So they have to basically get that guy. They can't afford to move up because really they don't have that many draft picks anyway. You're going to have to really spend that money, because it's no need to have the money and not spend it to get players that you need. So this is and then this is the other thing. Washington has to get younger too. They're one of the oldest teams. So I know that Adam Peters the last couple of years got the players for the 1-year contracts and whatever, but that's okay. But sooner or later, that's going to catch up with you, which it really has already caught up with them. So now you're going to have to start building a team where you got players on your roster for 3 years at least, where you can really see your team moving forward as far as youth and all of that. So it's going to be interesting, but Washington is in a good spot in the draft at 7 to get that knockout player either on the defensive side or Love, and then you have draft picks on down that you can address, maybe getting another wide receiver, or it may be a defensive player still on the board by the time you pick again, because if you're looking on the defensive side, this is the draft. I agree. I think you sit back and whoever comes there, you target. I do want to mention it, a defensive player, because I like something that you mentioned about Sonny Styles and having, like, obviously his brother ran a great 40 time as well yesterday. But you talk about how they've been breeded for this. Well, if you talked about Caleb Downs. There's a kid who's been breeded for this too. His brother's in the NFL. One a quality receiver who played. I don't know if he still plays for the Colts, but played for the Colts. So it's in his bloodline. It's in him to be a football player. And it's typically, we all know this, usually the younger brother is typically the brother that kind of is the better brother at times.
Hey, don't tell Luke that, because it wasn't him.
Ain't him. I mean, it's real. I ain't saying sometimes, usually when they're, sometimes it tends to go that way because they learn from the oldest. It's
funny, Wally, that nobody going in. Caleb Downs was one of the guys on my list because safety, because that's another area that Washington could use another safe. This is a guy that is versatile too, has the speed, has the size. He has everything that you would want in a safety. So he was on my list too, but again, it was those players, linebacker, safety, defensive end that was on my list. I mean, I wasn't even talking about running back. Now, when I saw, Adam talking about Love, and then everybody was talking about him, bending my ear off. And when they talked about just how great of a player of how they could really use him in this offense, I was like, well, maybe he has to basically be back in the conversation. But Caleb Downs is another guy that he would address some needs safety wise, because with Durante, I asked Adam Peters about how involved the defensive coordinator David Blau and
Durante.
In this, and he said they already have been involved in really assessing different things about this team, giving them a better understanding of their philosophy and what they're looking for, and so he says it's been a good collaboration of those two guys, because you think about Durante Jones coming from Minnesota and how they build that defense. He comes with a lot of knowledge, whether he was a defensive coordinator or not, that he understands the scope of what you have to do, because everybody is getting tripped up on if they're going to play a 4-3, if they're going to play a 3-4, this player fits better in this scheme and whatever. Well, he said that they're playing a combination of them both. It's not going to be just stuck in on a 4-3, because I think that's what makes defenses so great, that you don't understand what they're going to do, because they're switching up from a 3-4 to a 4-3 sometimes. But you still have to have some personnel to run both of them. I mean, no matter what you're doing, that linebacker play has to be great for one of those defenses, and the defensive front has to be for the other one, that 4-3. So again, I'm not getting tripped up on that. I'm just looking at the greatest need is those positions that players are available from: the safety, linebacker, defensive edge rusher, and running back, because again, you only got one that's signed right now.
I would say the running back is only, and I'm being real, the running back is only a need because of the individual that's available. That's what let me be honest with you. I'm gonna be real with you, because and even in free agency, some of the guys who are out there that's available are so dynamic that you kind of, only one. Etienne is like the only one now, and the kid and Seattle's running back who's available, who'll probably be available. Those two individuals, I think, are guys that Washington will have to kind of take a look at, regardless of the fact they'll have to Walker. They got to take a look at Walker.
Let me tell you, Walker, like I told you, Seattle had him, and everybody overlooked him. But you saw what he did all season long and in the playoff. That he was one of those, again, knock out the park running backs. So it's very seldom you get a running back that is all around. I mean, you pick your poison. And Love is that guy, because his if you've watched him, if you've followed him, and not only that, I listened to what the players were talking about when they, as far as beyond just the football. Who are they as individuals? Because that's what Coach Quinn and Adam Peters, they talked about that too, as far as the brotherhood and making sure that you have the right fit here for this team and what they build, in the brotherhood. They told me before, look, we could have brought other players here. I mean, elite players and whatever, but they did not fit into the Commanders' brotherhood, meaning that could have been a problem. Versus, how if you lose, you lose like they did last year.
I mean, either way, it's a problem.
Break apart the locker room. Well, I didn't see that last year in the locker room being broke apart with the amount of games that they had lost, and it was like, losing 5 wins. But I didn't see the locker room fall apart. And Wally, playing sports and whatever. That doesn't happen too much. And
it doesn't. That's rare. That is rare.
Wrong player in there complaining and
Hey, Don, I got a question. Don, I got to counter to that. Though if they signed some of these better players, maybe they're not in that situation to have that record.
Well, this is the thing. But this is the thing. I mean, I agree with you, some of the players, but you know, it only takes one bad apple to spoil the tree.
Yeah, but what's a bad apple though? What's a bad apple? Like this is my thing, Donnie, because you was in you covered some guys who spoke a lot, and some people call that a bad apple, but I don't think they spoke. I don't think they're a bad apple. They're not bad apples though. Like Gary Clark was chatty, right? Gary Clark was chatty. I loved it. But maybe that may not fit in to a certain locker room,
He was chatty, but the thing about it is he didn't disrupt the team.
Yeah.
His was in a different way of I want the ball.
Yeah.
I want to be out there. It wasn't basically making other complainers where you destroy a locker room. Yeah. But again, Washington had one of those situations last year where injuries did play a part in how they did because when you have the amount of injuries at key positions and you have your quarterback that wasn't even in there that missed 10 games, it's going to change the scope of this team being successful. And then not only that, Terry was gone for a long stretch of time. So you didn't have some of the core of your players in there. So while it's so many areas that this team needs to address,
of course, I agree.
That is not going to be overnight that they move forward. Now, can they be better than they were last year? Of course, because in free agency, with the money that they have, they could get at least 5 players with that money.
I agree. Jeremy, what's up? Jeremy had a comment that I did like. Jeremy said, looking at Jones' possible scheme, they need safeties that can match up in that quarters, palms coverage. That's why I mean, I do think
Caleb Downs. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I do think Caleb Downs. This is it's going to be interesting because I do think we talk about adding picks depending on how the flow of the draft goes by, and safeties rarely. But I'm starting to change my mind because it's also the offensive players available on the board aren't that great. But there's something you did tell me, though, that I kind of now I'm thinking maybe they could trade down. Because since you were there, you're saying that a lot of these GMs are now looking at these wide receivers and they're willing to draft them. If they're willing to draft some of these wide receivers relatively early because they feel like that's more of a need, then Washington may be I'm not saying go crazy and trade back crazy, but trade back a couple slots. And if they want Caleb Downs, able to get Caleb Downs, and maybe they can snag another a second rounder or maybe an extra third rounder to help their draft capital out a little bit more. Because I do now. I
can't be trading down and
trading back. I mean trading back, not damn trading back.
Yeah, trading back. Yeah, because they're not going to trade up. I mean, because they don't need to. But if trading down will get them more draft picks, but if they lose out on those players that I mentioned, I'm not doing it. Adam,
hey, Donna, I like taking the talent for what it. My thing is, if you want Caleb, if you want Caleb Downs, and if you want Caleb Downs, and you
want Sonny,
I'm just saying, if they want that's the guy they target. For Jeremy's point, right? If they say, you know what, we like Caleb Downs the most because on that defense, to me, on Ohio State's defense, he was the best player on their defense. To me, Caleb Downs was. Sonny had a good combine. He's got all the physical tools. He had a good season with Ohio State. He's one of the better players. It's not like he's a bad player, but Caleb Downs was the best player on defense to me on that team, right? So
and not just 1 year, because
not just 1 year, exactly.
People got to look at it's not just 1 year. It's not just the combines, because the combines is just going through the different drills and whatever. Totally those drills is not football real situations.
Facts. I totally agree.
Because that's what people got to look at. The combines is more so for you getting an interview with the coaches and them talking one-on-one. To me, that's what that is more so about, because running a 40 and whatever, they already knew what their speeds were.
Yeah.
And not only that, as far as the jumping and all that, they already knew what that is. And then changing directions and all of that. They've been doing that for 4 years in college. So the scouts and everything know about each one of these players. It's more so to me about the GMs and the coaches sitting down with the players. We witnessed that last year with Deion's son.
Yeah. There you go.
So it's basically who are that you are as a person and us getting to know you as far as that one-on-one. We saw what you did football-wise. So I'm always saying to people, don't just look at what they did their senior year. How were they all
consistency
all 4 years?
That's
so freshman year, I'm going to give you a pass because you're just coming into the scene on college. But how did you do your sophomore, junior, and senior year? To me, that tells me a little bit more about you as a player. So when we look at the players that we talked about across the board, like David Bailey, Sonny Skiles, Clay Downs, Love, and all of them, we can pretty much say those guys produced their college season.
Yeah, I agree with like Jeremy said. Scouts let that 40 cloud their mind sometimes, i.e. Cooper Kupp. Yeah, because Cooper Kupp was a dominant player in college, and people were more enamored with like the 40 time, whatever. But and you saw sometimes and I've always said this: the combine is to confirm what that player is. It's not to say, okay, that player is. It's something now better. You found out about. No, it's to confirm. That's what the combine should be used for. Not to say, oh, I didn't know he ran. It's to confirm because you've seen on Saturdays if he was a dominant player or not. You've seen that, but it's to confirm.
That's so true, Wally. The scouts let the 40 times cloud their mind.
Yeah, it does. It's true.
Because this is the thing. How are you going to be in game situation as far as getting off the ball, as far as guarding that guy and staying with him as a cornerback or a safety and all that. How are you going to pick up defenses and all those things? To me, I want to look at your film.
Yes.
And your college film.
Agreed.
That to me, and I think, and that's what Coach Quinn was talking about. That they have the players that I think that they're interested in. They did a deep study on them, as far as college, looking at their film and all of that kind of stuff. And I know that talking to the players that I'm interested in, the Commanders getting, they had good interviews with the Commanders, but other teams are courting them too. But it's amazing that Washington did not have a good season last year, but talking to some of these players, they were giddy about wanting to come to Washington.
Of course, you got Jayden Daniels out there.
And I think it surrounds a guy named Jayden Daniels that you have in there. And they also like, the coaching staff. I mean, and then shout out to Coach Rye that has been elevated because I think he's one of the smartest coaches on the Commanders staff. And for them to elevate him up in the position he is now, I think that was a great move for the Commanders as far as that in the coaching area as they try to finish putting all the pieces together for the coaching staff.
We go from my man Jeremy. Says, don't expect production from a player in the league that didn't have production in college. Agreed, Jeremy. Yeah, totally agree with you. Also, the combine answers some questions you might have. Yeah, it answers some questions, but it answers your questions in terms of maybe is the speed what you think, what you saw, maybe something like that, or is the athleticism what you saw? It just it confirms. Doesn't answer, it confirms, because at the end of the day, if you can't, and something that I agree with Jeremy said, if you're not dominating like the college game, how do you expect the dollars in the NFL game? Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, you could be a role player, but when we're talking about the top 10, like if you're not a dominant player that people don't talk about every Saturday or not up for these awards or this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden you weren't that type of player, then the combine hits and you show out in the combine.
Let's go back to Josh Connolly that the Commanders got last year. Mm-hmm. This is a guy, and I was so happy about them sticking to the offensive line. I almost burst. I almost burst with excitement when they got that offensive lineman.
You did.
But this is a guy. Hey, look, I told you. Hey, they better pick an offensive lineman, and they did. And they hit a home run with him because.
Okay. You think he's the home run? Okay, I'm interested in this. Go ahead, Donna.
No. I think they hit a home run because he struggled on the front end.
Yeah.
But the back end, I expect everybody to struggle on the front end because you're in college. You were going against people that were right there in your league as far as you can be dominant. When you get to the pro level, these are guys that are smart, they're more physical, they've been in the trenches more, they using all their tricks on you, and you coming into the fold. And he went up against some of the best offensive linemen in his first 6 or 7 games. Now, when you look at the back end of his play, once he, started working with Larry Tunsil and even Chris Paul, let me tell you, they called out Chris Paul this past week too.
Thank you. About time. They should have been. They better.
Look, I've been talking about Chris Paul like forever. And look, Chris Paul got his opportunity and he didn't relinquish that at all. And they talked about how much they like this. This is Adam Peters and Coach Quinn at the combines talking about when we were talking with them about what they foresee in the need for this team. They said that they were really pleased with the way Chris Paul stepped up. And that's the reason why I said Chris Paul right here, Josh Connolly improved. So Wally, that's the reason why I say they hit a home run with him, because when you look at the back end of his play, because everybody, I'm not looking at the front end because
I think that I know what you're saying. I get your point, because I'm like with Connolly. I know I wasn't the biggest fan of the Connolly draft, but I do like when somebody improves. I said that throughout this show. Like my thing with Connolly, and there's no knock on him. This is my thing, and Dom, you agree or disagree? You can say this. I mean, if you agree. Of comparison,
I'm gonna call you out if I.
You're real. That's what I like about you. Is I just want to get your real opinion. I'm gonna ask you this way. I'm gonna phrase it this way. Forget left or right tackle. Not even name tackles. Like just say tackles in general. Compare rookie seasons. Brandon Coleman's rookie year at tackle was better than Josh Connolly's rookie year at tackle. To me. Like, because what he did against Myles Garrett throughout that stretch of games, he was good until he got hurt. That's when his play suffered. But in terms of when he was healthy, he was more solid at tackle and right, left, and different. Like I'm not saying right or left, but he was better at tackle compared to Josh Connolly. We don't give that same reverence. My thing is like because I was surprised. I'll be real with you. When Brandon Coleman was playing tackle, I was like, why are we putting him at tackle initially that year? So I was critical initially. But he made me a believer throughout his season. I was like, oh, he's better than what I expected. And so when I compare the two, I'm like, I think Brandon Coleman, between the two, I know Connolly's a first rounder, so we look at him differently. But between the two, in terms of rookie year to rookie year, I think Brandon Coleman was a better rookie at tackle.
I like Brandon Coleman. I think that they did a disjustice this past year, and maybe it was some of him too, because Whatcom just beat him out. Chris Paul beat him out.
No, that's fair. I said I think he deserved it.
The problem I had with Brandon Coleman as far as how they used him, they could not figure out how to use him. So they did him a disservice of him trying to fix, because I talked to Brandon Coleman a lot last year, it was frustrating, and he learned a lot about himself. He said he was softer than he thought he was, but in the same breath, they were talking about at the end of trying to figure out where he fit in with the team. And to me, as an offensive coordinator, you should have figured that out at the beginning of the season. Now I know Chris Paul beat him out. But Brandon Coleman could play multiple positions. So why not put him back, from the tackle to the position that he played in college? I mean, he played multiple positions. To me, if you can play multiple positions, you should be able to plug me in those two positions that I play. I thought that both of them had kind of like solid freshman years. I don't look at first round pick or whatever.
No, I know you don't. I know you don't, Donna. I know
sometimes because that don't mean nothing, because you could be gone being a first rounder, but they were both, I think, solid. I think that Brandon Coleman basically probably didn't struggle on the front end.
Yeah, he did.
That Josh Connolly did. But everything they said about Josh Connolly being able to pick up things quick and all of that. So I think that they both had solid years, but at different points of their first year. But again, people were talking about letting Brandon Coleman go. I said, you know how hard it is?
No, don't let him go.
Offensive linemen are hard to combat. And if you're talking about depth and whatever, you better learn how to use Brandon Coleman and figure that out.
Yeah, Peters could have kept him. Talking about Coleman, could have kept Coleman at left tackle. Drafted the guard without giving up draft picks for Tunsil. Tunsil has been good, and he has been. Tunsil's been elite. But without the trade and without that trade and Debo trade, they'd be better off in this draft. They would be better off in draft.
They might be better off, but they wouldn't have got no.
I definitely. I'm so pro having Tunsil. So I get your point, Jeremy. I do get your point.
Yeah, but when you look at Laramie Tunsil, and what he did for that offensive line,
not
I
agree,
his play, but how he made other people better on that offensive line. Josh Connolly may not be as good as he was on the back end if Laramie Tunsil hadn't been there, helping him along the way in making him a better player. At play center, I don't know.
I don't know. I think he can. I mean, we got. Oh yeah, because Biotis is gone. Yeah, that's true.
Allegati, they got him, but I always thought that Biotis was better than Allegati.
Biotis is way better than Allegati. That's not even.
So I don't understand. I'm still. I mean, you got to make that make sense to me because I still don't understand that, and I can't. I have to wait and see.
Yeah, let's wait and see
what happens with that before I make comments on it. All I'm going to say is I don't get it. I'm baffled on that one because this is a guy that was injured, but he played, and not only that, he played his position solid. Ain't too many people getting around him because think about this, Wally. Mm-hmm. When Biotis was out for that short spell,
they struggled. I know.
So
Donna,
for you to get rid of him. And it's not like money-wise, you're giving up a lot. I mean, a lot, because you still got a lot of money. So you got to make that make sense to me when this is all said and done.
Adam will have the answer. I'm with you on that one, Donna. Scott said Coleman's biggest struggle last year was his health. Yeah, definitely was his health. I mean, that year, his rookie, it was definitely
exactly. And you didn't have that from, Josh Connolly.
Yeah, he was healthy. He was healthy.
Yeah, Tyler was really good. So I don't understand that. And not only that, we're talking about offensive linemen again. As far as if you had, because I thought for the first time in a long time that they had a pretty solid offensive line once they got everybody back healthy.
I agree with you. Cosme back, I agree.
I was like, ooh, we good on the trenches on the other side. You could add a little more depth because of the injuries, but still, I don't understand that one.
Go Jay and love Bill loading. Yeah, I mean, Bill's still gonna be fine if they get love though. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man.
But this is the thing the thing about it is you're going to be able. I mean, one running back is not going to be just what you need. You need that the depth as far as three solid running backs. So if you can get love, if you sign Chris Rodriguez back, if you sign
Donna, you a player, Donna. You a sport, you an athlete. I mean, you an athlete, Donna. You know there's a pecking order in life. Donna, you play basketball. Donna, you play basketball. You do a lot. You play other sports. You run track. Donna, you know there's a pecking order in life. You know that. Look, you can share the work. You can share the workload, and that's fine. You can need them. But when you got the alpha, they're like when you got.
You gonna play him if I get him on my roster. Guess what? He getting that work.
He in work. He's getting work. He ain't gonna be in
this, Wally. So you can have him as a receiver too, because this is the way they're going to probably use Bill if they get love. Is that Bill will be in the backfield? You got two backs in the backfield, and then running plays. So this is the thing that trips up defenses that you don't know whether I'm going to run the ball. You don't know whether I'm going to pass the ball with him because he can be utilized in a tight end position where he's coming off the ball. He can be lined up top because his blocking is that good. So again, even with having him, you have two backs in the backfield, changing up your offense, tripping up teams as far as whether you're going to run it or whether you're going to pass the ball.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Rennell Winchester. Yeah, we gotta pay Chris Paul. Like Donna said, he deserves it. Like he put in the work, he deserves it. Like he definitely deserves it. Also, I've been hoping we get JD5's friend Rashad White as a receiver running back. Look, when you get love, you don't need him. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Get love, we don't need no ships. Rashad White. I know everybody. Like I know people are always infatuated getting like Jayden's friends, like Rashad White or obviously Brandon Ayuk. You know what I mean? So, but just get the best player, man. It don't gotta be James.
Let me tell you, get the best player that's going to fit in here. It's not whether they were friends and whatever. They still have to fit this offense and whatever. So again, they need to look at the tight end position is the thing that's glaring.
But they would have to that would have to be in a later round, though, right, Don? You're not gonna get a tight end in the top.
No, and then the best tight ends are gonna be gone from the draft anyway. But this is where probably free agency comes in. Is you're gonna probably get that tight end in free agency. Yeah. Because it's some great tight ends that's are going to be free agents. So therefore, you're going to have to address that because Ben Sinnott has not given me the confidence that he's going to be the guy. Like him as a person or whatever, but it's basically have I seen that step forward?
Appreciate y'all hitting that like button, man. Folks in the chat, I appreciate y'all hit that like button. Because we got Donna. Y'all know she all world. So likes be multiplying when we got all world in the house. That's what it is. It be multiplying. I'm just keeping it.
That's only because I try to keep it real.
No try. You do. You take the try out of it.
Okay, I keep it
real. Renell said Styles is my favorite, but he and Love may be gone by the seventh pick. I think I'm gonna say this. Styles, I know everybody likes Styles because the 40, the combine is like hyped everybody up. I'm gonna keep saying it. Like he's a good player. He's a really good player. He could be really good in the league. He could be a really good NFL player. But he wasn't even the best player on his defense. If we really gonna watch that Ohio State, I'm a Michigan fan, so I know. The best players were Reese and Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is the best player. Caleb Downs was the best player coming into the season for the Ohio State on defense. So it lets you know
so many players.
They always do, though. They always do. They always got so many players there. And there are other players that will do well in the league that we're not even talking about. They'll probably be second, third round picks. But again, I would still Love has always been the dominant talent. You know what I'm saying? Period. So I just think that if Love is there, you got to take him. I think Styles is more realistic, though. I think Styles is more real. I think Styles will be there personally. I think Styles will be there, and then I think Styles will be there over Reese and company. I think
where does Kansas City pick?
They're right, but they're after us.
So
they'll trade up though. They'll probably trade. I think I see them trading up.
So Kansas City needs a running back. Bottom line. So if anybody's going to move up, it's going to be Kansas City. Agreed. If they're looking to snag Love to be in their backfield, they're going to move up.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's going to be interesting as far as how this shapes. So free agency starts soon, right?
Yeah, real soon.
So depending on who Washington gets in free agency is going to dictate what they do in the draft. Now, whether it's a pass rusher that they get a guy in free agency, whether there's not a lot out there for pass rushers. That's the reason why I said when you look at David Bailey, you may not want to pass him up either.
Nah, but he ain't gonna be there. I ain't gonna lie to you. That 40 time.
No, I think he's gone. He ain't gonna be there.
Now I think he'll be. So when everybody talks about stop, I think Bailey goes 2. I think he'll go 2. I think he'll go 2 or 3, and no one's going to get him other than that.
Yeah, because when I was talking to my person that we kind of go over the draft and all that, we were saying that Baines will probably be there for Washington.
I think Baines will be there.
I thought he was small, and
so I'm interested. Now, let me go there. Let me go there because because I like Baines. When I watch Baines again, I look at what people got to pop out to me on Saturdays, on the competition, in the big game, in the playoff game, when Miami play Ohio State. This is why I don't talk about Styles like everybody else does. I don't even talk about Reese. I don't even talk about Reese like that because in the big game when your team needs you the most, I saw Caleb Down make plays and I saw Bain make a bunch of plays. And Bain I was like, that was the first time I really got to sit and really study Bain. I was like, oh, this dude is nasty. I see why. Because first I doubted it, and then I was like, oh no, I see why that people like him a lot. But I want to get you. But you said physically when you watch him, you look at him, because this could drop him down. He didn't look that big.
No, when he came around to get on the podium and whatever, I told Lake, I said, Lake, he looks small. I said, because when I look at, and maybe I'm looking at the defensive linemen that are already professional football players, and they've already been there years where they'd have bulked up and all of that. But when I look at defensive ends and whatever, I look at David Bailey. He looked like a little thicker when I looked at the other guys.
Yeah.
I mean, because you have to have some size. He more so looks like a linebacker. I mean, you know, the size wise. And like I said, not taken away because he has the speed. That's what you want, somebody to be able, because when you look at some of the people that play with the linebackers, play with their hands in the dirt and whatever, they can get off. Michael Parsons, you think about him, he literally is a linebacker, but they use him as a edge rusher.
He looked bigger though.
He's all over the place. So
he looked bigger though. He looked bigger than, it looked like he looked bigger than even Bain. He looks bigger than Bain though.
Because Baines, I was like, when he stepped out, I was like, man,
I can tell Bain must have looked real short to you, something real small.
No, he did look short, but it was just his size and whatever. Because even Lake said, he does look smaller, and maybe because I was right in front of David Bailey, looking how big he was
compared to.
But a lot of people, like they said, David Bailey probably will be gone before the Washington picks him.
Will be gone, yeah.
But then you talk about if Baines is available, and then if Scouts is available, and then if Caleb Downs is available in Love, where do you go from there? You can't go wrong, because those are all positions that you need. Great needs at that. Again, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, pay attention to what Washington does in free agency in the beginning, because if you want those solid players or whatever, if you don't pick them on the front end, they're going to be gone. Laramie Tunsil, if they didn't court him last year, he would have been gone. So again, and I understand, I saw somebody say that Ben Sinnett with
I'll show it to you, like Ben Sinnett,
Kingsbury offense.
Yeah, here you go. This right here.
So it'll be interesting in David Blau as far as how they bring about helping develop him, or him taking that next step. It comes down to him too. And again, I thought he struggled in training camp. I thought he was going to take that step. I didn't see it in preseason. And like you said, Zach Ertz, they used him most of the time, but Ben got his opportunity too. But it'll be interesting to see if he can make that big step. But I don't think they're going to just rely on that. They're still going to go after a top tight end in the draft. I'm not the draft, but in free agency.
I mean, hopefully there's somebody available that can really help this team. Who we have from Renell says we need a green dot defensive quarterback to replace Wagner's duty. Sonny Styles has played that role. I've been wanting that important need for the last month. I'll say this. I know people keep saying that, but I'm gonna throw this name out there. I like, Donna mentioned him. I would love to see him in his natural position. I like Jordan McGee. I would love to see Jordan McGee play Mike linebacker, because I think Jordan McGee can do it. If you looked at him in Temple, he's one of the better middle linebackers in his conference. He was so he actually has the pedigree in terms of what we talk about on Saturdays to produce on in the NFL. We talk about this all the time. So he could play. I think he can do it. I think he definitely could do it. And in the flashes, we got to see him play outside of his natural position, because he's a linebacker, but he's not an outside linebacker. He is a inside Mike linebacker. So I would like to see him get the green dot and see what he can do. It's, Bobby was playing, so obviously you're going to give that to Bobby because Bobby Wagner's career, the credentials he has as a football player, a Hall of Famer. But I would love keep talking about we need a Mike linebacker. I think we got one in the building. We just got to give him the opportunity to play. I think Jordan has all the ability in the world to be super successful at Mike linebacker, green dotting him. So I think because he did it in college. He was that, just like you talk. There's like folks in the chat are saying, well, Sonny Styles did that in Ohio State. Well, Jordan McGee did that in Temple, and he did it at a high level, and he did it. And this is something I think people should go back and watch. When his Temple, when he played the bigger schools, he produced. He produced playing against those big schools, come playing at Temple. So he's played against supreme talent and still showed out playing Mike linebacker at Temple. So I'm just saying, I know we get enamored. It's a draft process, and we get enamored with said player, but I do think that Jordan McGee hasn't gotten that opportunity. And I think if we got that opportunity, we'd be saying different things in terms of that position.
And now you got a new defensive coordinator. So again, talking to Durante Jones, he said that he studied every player that Washington has on this roster right now. And also he's putting together IPA, plan for these guys, development plan for these guys. So if being said that, when you look at Washington and when you look at what's on the roster, you don't want to say, I'm going to get another guy when you may already have that guy on the roster, like Wally said. So even though Sonny Skiles would be a great addition because of the versatility that you have in him, would it be a disservice not to get a Caleb Downs, who basically, you need a safety also in that position, but then you turn around and you need that defensive edge rusher. So you kind of like look at what is the greatest need on this team and what do they already have on the roster that they can utilize to make better. So you can't go wrong either way. I mean, if you got the running back, if you got Baines, if you got all those. But again, I think it's going to come down to what they do in free agency on the front end before the draft, because some of the things that we're talking about could be already answered by the time the draft comes, which makes it a clear picture of where Washington is going to really go with this. So I think we just have to wait and see. But those four players are on the top of my list. They were on the top of my list before I went to the combines. It's so funny because Lake was talking to me and I was talking to him. I said, look, I already got my list. I said, I came here to talk about the defensive side of the ball. I'm not even considering talking to anybody offense. Now, Love fell in my lap when Adam Peters was talking about him.
He's talking language now. Now he's talking different.
He fell in my lap when he was talking about, just him. And because I told Adam, I said, what about a Love? And he was like, oh, yeah, this is the guy that is in a whole new conversation.
That's what I'm saying. He changes.
That became in my little docket now too. But I came there to look at the defensive side of the ball, and those players that I mentioned, all show long is where I'm looking at, because those are the greatest needs that are glaring at the Commanders, as they move forward to get faster, be more explosive, be more younger. All the way around, what Coach Quinn, Adam Peters, the offensive coordinators have all been on the same page about is that we have to get faster as a team overall. And as Adam said, everything is basically centered around Jayden Daniels.
That's what I'm saying. It always has to be about Jayden. T Rose 2024 said Chiefs have the 9th and 74 picks. They can give us to trade up for Love. Yeah, I'm saying that's collateral. That is, if you feel like you need more.
You want to roll the dice.
Yeah, want to roll the dice.
Miss out on one of your players that you really need.
Yeah, but the Chiefs are the Commanders are 7. The Chiefs are 9. You're gonna still get a good player. I still get one of those good players. So with that we're talking about in that box, when we
look at the order of the draft as far as the needs, when you look at the needs of each, from 1 to 6, when you look at that, and even the top 10, when you look at the top 10 of the draft and you look at what the need is, it's multiple things that people need. Like I said, I didn't think the wide receiver would be a conversation, but talking people out there, it's some good receivers, and it's not many. So if you're going to get a wide receiver and that's one of your greatest needs, you're going to have to snag him early, because this is not a draft for running backs. It is not a draft for really quarterbacks or wide receivers. If you're looking to better your defense, this is a draft for defense from the front of the line to the back.
That is the truth. He's Legion Media. What's going on? Said if the Chiefs want Love that bad, that means they know he's a gem, and we shouldn't accept that trade. Let us get the generational talent for once. I get the point. That's a very good point.
Oh, I mean, they really. All I've been hearing is that you think about Kansas City. The area that they've been tripping up on is their running game.
It has been.
They don't even run the ball.
They don't,
and they haven't even had a running back to really run the ball in a long time. So but then again, the same conversation is Washington. They basically saying, "Hey, I want that knockout guy to that knocking out the ballpark too." So Kansas City, I ain't trying to let you have that because I know this guy's going to be able to help my offense. And this is the running back position is still one that you want to plug in another guy. Now, whether you want to plug in a guy named Love or you basically just get another one down in the draft. But again, are you upgrading that position?
So Donna, for you, like, who do you like? What do you, other than like the positions that, did you get to see any other individuals outside, like, outside the first round, that you were like, all right, Washington should keep their eye on if they get, I think Washington's a third rounder. I think that's the next draft pick they have is a third round. Is there a draft pick out there you're like, you know what? Like that's, I mean, a player in the combine that you saw when you were down there that you were like, that wouldn't be a bad pick in that particular spot if available.
Yeah, I didn't get to see other because I was down there for the days that the defense was on the field. I mean, the defense. So I wasn't down there when some of the offensive players came because I would have been looking at tight end and wide receiver because if you don't sign a Deebo Samuel's back, you really need to probably add another wide receiver into the mix. Although you may get that guy through free agency. So I was basically down there for the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
And that's okay with me because
I know how you think. I know how you think.
Multiple, but look, it's multiple people on defense that I want to with the 7 pick and in the next pick, I basically could go defense with their first 2 picks.
Yeah.
Because I think that their defense is in need of defensive players this draft more so because the defense really has underachieved in the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, when you're talking about the elite defenses, if you ever want to get to be like Seattle, you have to be able to get these kind of caliber of players to plug in where you can shut down as far as cornerback, safety position. Look how Seattle played defense, whether it's up front where they got the pressure, the linebacker play, you had solid from the safety, from the front end to the back end. You didn't have a drop off for Seattle at all. And they had depth at each position. So that's the reason why I said that I paid so much attention to the defense that I said, what did I say last year, Wally? We could get 2 offensive linemen because the need was that great. And they really did get 2 offensive linemen because they got Laramie Tunsil and Josh Connolly.
Good point.
In that. So if you look at this side of the ball this time, this defense needs 3 of those players that I'm talking about, whether you get them in free agency or you get them in the draft. Because I think offensively, you can kind of like work on some things, draft free agents. I think they're going to get more players in free agency.
Oh, I think so.
Offense, but defense, since this is a heavy draft for defensive players, that's where my focus would be if I was Washington.
We got signed Gerald P. Dot for real. What's going on, Gerald? I appreciate you, my guy. Says sign Dobbs as addition. Dobbs for the Packers, the wide receiver. I like Dobbs. Dobbs would be a good fit. I'm not people Styles, McGee, and Medrano and linebackers. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not the biggest Medrano fan. It's a starter.
He didn't get but my thing is
I like him as a special teamer.
I didn't know what he could do because he didn't get to play.
But go ahead, Donna. Go ahead.
But they had high hopes for him. But again, where were you going to plug him in? He wasn't going to take any of those other people's positions.
No, I agree.
So therefore, I want to see how he's going to be used this year with a new defensive coordinator that is really addressing some things. So again, you draft Medrano and you don't really play him. So my thing is that's a wasteful pick if you're not going to try to plug him in somewhere.
I mean, he's a late. I think, and Bleed and Burgundy Piscode says if the draft is so deep on defense, that's even more of a reason to draft Love at 7. Hey, you're not. You speak. Hey,
I ain't gonna argue with you. I'm not gonna argue with you, but I better get one of those them top two players. The two players though.
You get some other players. You can get some other players. I know he's saying the third round. You get somebody who's good,
but they ain't gonna be a Downs or Skiles.
Oh, it ain't gonna be. But they ain't gonna be. They ain't gonna be no love either, though.
So again, I'm not going to argue about.
I know.
Because if you get, that's a win-win.
It is a win-win though. It is a win-win. It's a win-winning. It's a win-win situation.
Immediately that he's going to be able to help you, even being a guy that utilize catching the ball. Because you think about this. If Jaden is behind the center a little bit more, and you got a Love in there that you can use in multiple ways and whatever, just pick. I said, just pick your poison. Just pick how you want to be messed over.
I'm telling you, if you can get Jaden and Love together, is scary. It's very. I don't think the league wants that, to be real with you. I'm not gonna lie to you. Gus Bus says, I say we trade down twice and get Woods from Clemson to be our true 3-4 nose tackle. Then we can use the additional draft picks to stock up on edge, Messador in the second round, and a linebacker. I mean, I'm not.
I called out his name in the beginning, Peter Woods, because I actually got to talk to him, and I was like,
talk about him.
I was like, man, he's really a solid player. I said, I was
telling him,
he did, because he impressed me with what he said, and he said he's one of those players that that offensive linemen worry about all night long. In what he said, he's one of those players that is explosive. But when he said that about I am an offensive coach's nightmare, I was like, almost like that. I like that. I say I like the confidence, and he looks like that too. But he's not. I mean, I know that you could utilize him, but you need that edge rusher. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they need an impactful edge rusher more than like. No disrespect, they do though.
Because I think that Deron Payne.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
And if you get him back, whatever. I don't know the situation, but I'm just saying that how long have we been talking about edge rusher
for a while
this Commanders team?
For a while,
a long time. And not only that, you need depth because Armstrong solid. We saw what he did. He got hurt, and he was still the top pass rusher as far as sacks. Nobody passed him after he went down as far as the sacks. He led the team still with sacks. So, but still, you want depth there, and that's something that they did not have. So, again, I think that glaring more for this Commanders team is finally getting a solid pass rusher.
Paul has a question for you. I don't think Don
is good, but I ain't going to pass over the pass rusher.
I wonder if you heard of this player during the draft, because I know you probably didn't speak to him, but linebacker. Did you talk to Jacob Rodriguez? Did you hear anything about linebacker Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech?
Nope, didn't hear anything about him. And I think that only because that those other players, big names, overshadowed them. Yeah. Because they were every let me tell you, the lines were so long around those top players. Let me tell you, I had to Baines and David Belly was going at the same time. So I had to kind of like flip a coin to say, well, which way do I go? So I said, okay, I'll start over here and then I'll go over here. So I started with David Belly, first, and they were side by side. But the amount of people that was behind, Baines, that he had a lot more people around.
Baines had more because he didn't run
beginning time and people were trying to decide on which way do I go. Then I went over to talk to him after I did David. So they were both good. So that's the reason why I say. Even Peter Woods, he had a lot of people around him too. And of course, the other ones, the big names that we're talking about, the other ones as far as Caleb Downs and Scout. If you didn't get there early, you was going to be back in the back trying to hear what they were saying. So those players, like I said, basically just were the ones that people are looking at more so than some of the other names, not taking anything away from them, because some of those players are ones that ends up being impactful players. But no, I didn't get to talk to him because my focus was on the needs of the Commanders of where I wanted them to address with these players, that I felt that some of them are going to be there when Washington picks at 7.
Gus Bus 9,000 asked the question: does Dorrance Armstrong fit Daronte's defensive scheme? I think he does. I think Daronte he's very versatile. He's gonna. What I liked about what Daronte said, and Donna, you can definitely chime in. I like that he says that he's going to put players in the best situation for that player to be successful. And that player, what that player does well, he's going to utilize that rather than try to work around the weaknesses.
You know why he fits in there? Because he can get to the quarterback.
There you go. I agree.
He's got the speed and the explosiveness to get to the quarterback.
He can.
That's what Jones is talking about, is the aggressive play of this defense. I mean, David Blau talked about the offense finally having an identity, which they did not last year. I don't even know if the team had a true identity because they didn't really live up to what we expected from the year before. Yeah. And even Coach Quinn was talking about as far as the identity of this team. But again, David Blau told, when I asked him about the offense, he said that just like the defense, we want to be violent. We want to be explosive. When have you heard that from a coach talk about that on the offensive side of the ball? Mm-hmm. And then he said, you're going to know the identity of this offense every play.
I love it.
So I was like, say no more. So if you got to love, you're going to know the identity of this team.
This is true. Very true. I like that, Donna. So now this is before we're about to close the stream out. Before we close the stream, I do want to ask you one question, because you said that some of the players that Adam Peters mentioned, and I talked about this on another podcast, on another show, but I do want to talk about, he mentioned some of the players like Chris Paul, who's not under contract, who's going to be a free agent. Did he mention somebody like a Treylon Burks? This is a guy that I like. Did he talk about him at all during?
He said that the one player that they got to get signed before talking about anybody else is Laramie Tunsil.
That's it. Okay.
He didn't mention Chris Paul or any of those guys. Deron Payne. He said that'll be after. Those players will be after Laramie Tunsil. He said he only talked about, and when I asked him about Chris Rodriguez and Jerry, he said, and Jeremy McNichols. Those guys are guys that they're still interested in, but the guy that they want to get done before anybody else is Laramie Tunsil. They didn't even mention nobody else's name, but I do say, I take that back. They did mention Chris Paul.
Yes, I'm saying you said you mentioned Chris Paul.
Play of Chris Paul and just what he did. So them saying that means to me that they want to get a Chris Paul, because they said that they loved everything that Chris Paul did as a player. They thought he was really solid. So, but they said still the player that they want to get signed is Laramie Tunsil. And then I guess they'll trickle on down there. But they do like Chris Paul. So I can see them, because let me tell you, if they don't sign Chris Paul, somebody else is going to snag him.
I know, definitely. I think he played.
That means that you're back to another situation where you got to figure out who you plug in there, where you already knew. What did I tell you all? Adam Peters said that everything in mind is Jaden Daniels, every surrounding piece. So the surrounding piece mean that, and Coach Quinn said this, it starts with the defensive offensive line. That means that you got to be able to protect and block for Jaden Daniels. So that means that those offensive linemen that you have to get signed is going to be Chris Paul. And like I said, Laramie Tunsil is the number one guy on the list.
Totally agree. Hey, Donna, before we end this stream, how can folks catch you on social media and catch your great content for the Tony McGee, for Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus on all social platforms, and also on Masson as well? Let folks know.
Yeah. X is Donna J. Hopkins.
X is Donna Hopkins _.
Donna Hopkins _. Donna Hopkins _ You guys see Wally know better than me. And thanks to Wally, I've been trying to post it even more on that. And
IG. Don't
IG is
no way.
DJ
I'm gonna
House
put on. Look, we're gonna put.
Hey,
you on.
Wally should just put it up there.
I am. This is the wrong one. Though.
Then Masson, Mid-Atlantic Sportsnet Masson is where Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus comes on. If you can't get Masson, you can plug into our YouTube channel because we put all the shows from Masson on our YouTube. And then In the Minutes, Sports, our podcast, you can catch that because I'm throwing stuff there. So that's how you can follow me.
All right, y'all, like all this stuff, you know what I'm saying? She got interviews. She got stuff from the combine. Yeah. It's Wole. Yeah. But she called me Wally. It's both. You know what I mean? Like my folks.
I can only call him Wally.
She can call me Wally. Like I grew up with Wally. Like
nobody can't. Nobody else can. But
it's Wole too. It's Wole too.
Wole too. But I like Wally.
She calls you Wally. It's okay.
I grew up. Look. That's what I started with. So he's giving me the grace.
She got the grace. She started and before to honor my pops. That's Wole's the correct way everybody says in the native tongue, Wole. But I've been called Wally since I've been growing up. Like that's the neighborhood folks call me Wally. I just want to make sure folks know this. Neighborhood folks call me Wally.
Neighborhood folks,
and me, and Donna. My nieces and nephews call me Uncle Wally. My ignorant brother still calls me Wally. So
hey, Wally, you got all kind of names like I do.
Yeah, exactly. But like folks, my parents always call me Wole. My aunts and uncles call me Wole. So it is what it is. But
I ain't going to tell you what my parents call me, but that's another story.
Gus, that's what. Gus Bus. Yeah, it is. So I'm letting you know, like, it's both. If you want, and I have no issue with either. I even tell the folks at work who know me as Wally and they just want to be respectful. It's like it don't matter to me.
It's one of the two.
It's one of the two. Like unless there ain't something ignorant, it's one. We're good. Appreciate you, Paul. Appreciate it. Hey, appreciate you, man. Appreciate everything. Thank you so much. Appreciate Donna as well. But again, I want to say this though. Make sure y'all, like I said, Donna has great videos from the combine. So make sure you check it out on YouTube, the Tony McGee Pro Football Plus YouTube channel. Also, like she said, on Twitter or X, it's posted there. Donna Hopkins _. Make sure you pull up because she got all the she's got the information. She's got the interviews with some of these young prospects that could be Washington Commanders. So make sure y'all pull up and check it out. Make sure y'all and Masson, she's on Masson, y'all. Like, you know what I mean? Come on now. She's on Masson. Like, you can definitely check her out there. I mean, you know what I mean? And she's being real nice about it. She's got all types. She has your favorite Redskin Commanders on her show. She has Gary Clark. She has she's had the rest in peace Trey Johnson. She's had people like that. She's had like all of your favorite, you had Charles Mann, all of your favorite folks. She's had Howie Long. She's non-Commanders players who play for the Raiders or from this era. She's had Howie Long. She's had like legends out here. So make sure y'all pull up, support it. You know what I mean? Because she's been doing it and she's doing it right now currently. So it is what it is. So make sure y'all pull up. Anyway, I appreciate everybody for pulling up. You guys are dope.
Good to be hanging out with you, Wally.
Always a pleasure. Like everybody know this, Donna, local. Look, I want to make sure folks know. They know what time it is. You know what I mean? So make sure, appreciate everybody for pulling up. Appreciate Donna as always. Anytime I hit up Donna, she gives me real like, I can do it. I was like, thank you, Donna. Appreciate you. But anyway, man, appreciate everybody for listening. You guys are the true MVPs. Anyway, you've been listening to the Urban Sports Scene for ages. Yeah, deuces. We are out. Peace.